What's up, guys? Welcome to the Low Kick MMA UFC Fight Night Blaydes vs Volkov recap show. I'm your host, Ryan Galloway, and joining me is Low Kick MMA site manager Jordan Ellis. How you going, Jordan?
I'm good, mate. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. So first we'll jump in. I just want to get your thoughts on the event as a whole. Just pretty much what happened, and then if you want to jump straight into the main event after that, let's do it.
Yeah, I thought it was a good card. I thought, top to bottom, obviously it was a much better card than last week. And then there was a few standout performances, a few upsets. It was just kind of had everything, and you can't all be bangers, and you get the odd bad fight. But then we probably had a fight of the year contender and before it. So excited to break it down.
Absolutely, and yeah, the event itself is pretty good. There were some interesting moments on the card that we definitely have to speak about, but I think we'll go straight into the main event first, which was pretty much what you expected from Curtis Blaydes in this fight. He said before the fight that he was going to use his wrestling, he was going to ragdoll Volkov, and he definitely just went to his wrestling over and over again, which works. That's who he is. He's a wrestler. He's a great wrestler. Yeah, I expected to see Volkov come out and implement the stand-up. I thought he just got a lot more confidence from fighting JDS because he came out in that fight and barely attempted to wrestle. He just wanted to strike in that one. But maybe he just felt like Volkov was the better striker and didn't want to stand with him. But went to the wrestling and got the win. Yeah, pretty dominant performance. What did you think?
Yeah, it was kind of exactly what he said on the tin. Basically, he said before the fight, "Don't be tuning in. You're not getting a slugfest here. I'm going to take this guy down, and I'm going to maul him for 25 minutes." And that's what he did. And it's one of them things where, I didn't have a dog in this fight at all. I weren't really bothered who won. But it's one of them things where you start rooting for Volkov because it's so frustrating to watch someone be took down over and over again. And he showed so much heart to keep getting back up and keep fighting it. But he just didn't have any answer for the takedowns, and anytime he was on the feet, he looked dangerous. So, great tactics by Blaydes to take the fight down because he was landing, but it was clear that on the feet, Volk had quite a big advantage. So, towards the end, I thought he was going to pull something off when he got the takedown at the end of round 4, but it's just relentlessness from Curtis Blaydes, and that's why I think he's a future title challenger, potential a title holder. So I think he's just relentless. He was clearly absolutely knackered, and he just kept throwing his body at Volkov and just hoping he'd fall over. So credit to him. It's not vintage. It's not what the fans tune in for, but it's a win, and it's a win over a great opponent. So props to him, props to Volkov for just hanging tough as well, because it was hard just watching it. So I can't imagine what it was like just being on the end of that for 25 minutes.
Yeah, having someone that big on top of you the whole time would have just been draining. And he put on some submission attempts. Obviously, they weren't very close to being finished or anything, but he was fighting the whole time. He wasn't just laying there, just being held down. And even in that 5th round, when they were standing with each other, and I can't remember what he hit Blaydes with. It might have been a leg kick or something. I don't know. He Blaydes looked so tired. I thought when I was watching it, I was like, oh my god, he's going to catch him here. I was like, Volkov's going to pull something off. And then Blaydes took that final takedown, just took him on the ground, held him there for the rest of the round. And you can't criticize Blaydes for it. He's such a good wrestler. Why would you not wrestle? You know what I mean? What the fans think comes second to earning the victory money, right? He's going to feed his family. He's going to win. He's not going out there to please the fan. He's going out there to make a living, And he's one of the best wrestlers in the division, if not the best wrestler in the division. Of course he's going to use his wrestling. So that's pretty much all I had to say about that fight. Anything else you want to say?
No, just to add to that, just obviously he's going to use that, and if he would have stood up with Volkov, he probably would have lost that fight, because every time Volkov was landing in it, and he looked a bit worried. So it's Volkov's an elite level striker. If you've got the ability to put him on his back and dominate him like that, why wouldn't you? You just wouldn't take the chance. So Blade did what he had to do. It's not it weren't the best main event ever, and it was just a frustrating watch. I'd say that's the word. I just felt so frustrated watching it just for Volkov. But you've got to do what you got to do. It's a massive win for him. So credit to him.
Absolutely. Just before we do jump on to the next fight, I just do want to say Dana White seemed unimpressed with his performance in the press conference, and so I think it's going to be a long road to a title shot for him. I think they're going to make him have a couple more. Obviously, Francis is still in the wings, and the rematch still has to happen. Well, I don't know. I think if he had gone out there and finished Volkov on the feet, or early on had got a submission or something, I think he could have not jumped Francis, but he would have been right in the title picture. Definitely, I reckon they're going to give him another fight. I think he's going to take out someone else before he gets that fight. Do you think, question for you, they would do Francis Ngannou versus Blaydes 3 in the meantime?
No. I the way I pictured it is, and it might have been if he got a big finish in the first round or something, he might have been in amongst them. But right now, I see it as Stipe, Cormier, Ngannou, then everyone else. But he's kind of fourth, and he's kind of a league above everyone behind him as well. So he could have joined that pack and maybe, got to get, like, say, DC beats, I don't know, but just say one of them becomes available other than Ngannou. He could fight Stipe or DC or someone like that. Or, someone who steps up to heavyweight. Gustafsson in his next fight, that would be a big one if he beats Werdum. So for now, I think he's got to stay busy. He's got to keep winning. I think it's going to be, a few fights before he gets anywhere near the title shots. I think it's going to be 3 or 4 that he's going to have to win, because there is just clear guys who are above him, and Ngannou's beat him twice, and Ngannou's waiting for his shot. So, and then if Ngannou gets the title, do you want to put him against Blaydes because he's beat Blaydes twice and complain about the stoppages and things like that? But I didn't have a problem with the second stoppage, and obviously the first one was a doctor stoppage. So, I think he's got a while, and he's got a lot to prove still, I think.
Yeah, and also, like, obviously Cormier has said this is his last fight, the Stipe fight. Win or lose, he's out. So if Cormier wins, or if he loses, Stipe will fight for the belt next, I guarantee it, and it'll be against Ngannou. I can Stipe Ngannou happens, again, the rematch, no matter who wins this Cormier-Stipe fight, because they're the next two in line, right? Because DC's not fighting again. This is his last fight. So, it's not like he's... Even if he came out there and blitzed through Volkov, he wasn't going to be next in line, So it really hasn't changed his position at all. But we'll move on for that and go to something the fans who didn't like the main event would have definitely been happy in the co-main event. Delivered like everyone said it would. Fight of the night, Josh Emmett versus Shane Burgos. And I know we both tipped this one for fight of the night. I took Burgos in this fight. I thought he would be too fast for Emmett, and I thought he'd be a bit too long for Emmett. And I was... probably wrong, to be honest. I mean, obviously Emmett got the win, but it was pretty back and forth for the most part. Emmett's power is insane. Listening to those shots, even in the first round, the volume of the shots was just crazy.
Yeah, it was crazy watching. Burgos, I don't know what he's made out of, because he was just... Them shots are putting everyone away. Like, Josh Emmett, no doubt about it. He's the biggest puncher at 145. No doubt in my mind. He's the biggest puncher. And he was just eating them. And it was partially like, as the fight started, as I was saying previously, I do tend to change my mind. And I was looking at Burgos just thinking, he's a really big guy. Like, he's huge. And I fancied him. But then you see, and it was just... But he was eating bombs and Emmett was eating jabs and leg kicks. It was just ridiculous fight. I thought it was quite clear for Emmett in the end, because he was just... It was kind of similar to the Justin Gaethje, Tony Ferguson fights, where he was just eating bombs all night. And just because you can eat them doesn't mean you're winning or you're in the fight. He weren't landing enough, and Emmett comes away with a massive win. And I hope to see him fight someone at the top now, because he's been there for a while and he deserves it. But that's potentially fight of the year. Obviously it's recency bias, but I can't think of one better than that. It was a brilliant fight, and Burgos he lost, and he clearly lost, but he was in the fight and he was always causing trouble. So brilliant, and I think that's what made the main event even more disappointing, because everyone was hype off that, and then you just get it, a bit of a letdown. But it was just brilliant. I'd watch that every day of the week.
Yeah, having deja vu from UFC 248, I believe, where the co-main event fight of the year, in my opinion, probably my pick, was Joanna Jędrzejczyk versus Weili Zhang. And then straight after that was Israel versus Yoel, which was a snooze fest as well. So, you can't get 2 in a row. It doesn't happen. Watching this fight, I probably had Burgos in the first 2 rounds, although they were super close, and I could see why Emmett got one of them and ended up winning the decision. He clearly won the fight. He dominated the 3rd round. But going into the judges, I thought it could have been 10-9. I thought it could have been 28-28. I would have been happy with the draw, but Emmett clearly at the end of the fight was the one who was winning. If the fight was 5 rounds, Emmett would have won that fight, but Burgos is so durable. It was insane. And he was throwing more volume. He was hitting Emmett more. But the shots he was hitting Emmett with weren't doing the same damage the shots Emmett was hitting with. So, good win for Emmett. I think next he wants a top 3 guy, but I can't see him getting that. Maybe he gets the loser of who's fighting Korean Zombie Ortega if they fight, or Yair and Zabit.
I would give him Zombie now, or Ortega, or someone at the top. It's him against Zombie. I think he could win that fight. I just going back to the scoring. This is where fight stats don't really matter, because Burgos, whatever he was landing was insignificant compared to what Emmett could land. And if he's landing 10 strikes, they honestly don't matter when Emmett's hitting him like that. It was a ridiculous. And the last round he dropped them twice, so you could even give that a 10-7. It was such a dominant round. So in my mind, even the first 2 rounds, I thought Emmett might have edged them, but the last round was just for me, it weren't a close fight, because they're just an absolute. Just because you're able to eat them doesn't mean you're in the fight. You're just able to take punishment. It's the same as Tony Ferguson. Just because he was able to take the punishment doesn't mean he's in the fight. It was he gave a bit more back, Burgos, and he was landing bits and bobs, but they were just incomparable what Emmett was doing with his punches compared to what he was doing, and that was all with a busted knee as well. So he probably would have got the knockout if he was able to properly curl in and sit down on them punches. But Emmett now, Korean Zombie, Ortega, there's so many people there. He just someone top. He's earned his shot now. So someone in the top 5 at least, and then that's a title shot if he wins that. And then Burgos, he doesn't lose in this fight. He just goes away. Everyone's watching. Everyone's excited to watch him again, because we all know he's such a warrior, and he'll get another big fight and he'll come again.
For sure. I think he was 10 going into this. He'll probably leave this 11 or 12 if he drops down, which I don't know if anyone else fought, so maybe he won't. But I can reckon they'll give him someone else around his rank. I don't think they're going to give him an unranked guy after this. Burgos, I'm talking about. I think he'll still stay in the rankings, still be able to climb. Whereas Emmett, I think there's a problem now for him, because Korean Zombie Ortega is like, I don't know if it's matched yet. It's going to be matched. There's so much history there between them from the last booking and all that stuff that happened at 248 or whenever it was. Obviously, Zabit and Yair is allegedly matched up, so they're all matched up. Holloway, Volkanovski already matched up. There's no one free in front of him, so I think he's going to have to wait for someone to fight, and I don't think he gets a winner. I think he'll get a loser from one of those fights.
Or he could just wait for someone to drop out. There's a lot going on.
True.
Someone might drop out. I think he already said he's prepared to be an alternate for the UFC 251. He's not, like as we've seen against Burgos, he's not the biggest guy. I think he could probably make that weight comfortable as long as he stays in camp and things like that. So it might just be about him waiting for a big chance and taking it, because he's not the type of guy who needs, like, obviously if he's putting that out, like if he runs into someone like Burgos who can take his shots, he needs it, but he could just go out there and blitz someone in the first round off a 2-week camp or something like that. So I'm sure he'll be ready to go, and he'll take his chance when he gets it, because he is about 35 now, and time to get cracking on, because you can't keep that power forever. So let's see him in a big fight.
Yeah. So moving on, we had Raquel Pennington versus Marion Reneau. Pretty good performance by Pennington there. A lot of knees in the clinch and whatnot. They were really doing damage. She really worked her there. It was a dominant performance. Not much else I can say. I expected her to take it to the ground, but clearly she was threatened by Reneau's jiu-jitsu. So she didn't do that. She's worked on the feet, but it worked out in the end, and she looked good. She looked really good.
Yeah, it was one of them fights where at the start I was thinking, it's going to be a snooze fest, because the first round I was kind of thinking they are cancelling each other out a bit, but then as the fight went on, Pennington started to take over, and then it got a bit more exciting because she was landing a lot of shots, and she is just a dog. She's just like a little pit bull. She won't let you go, and she's just ragging you everywhere and kneeing you and punching you. She must be horrible to fight against when she's in that type of form, because she's just like a wet towel on someone. She just won't let go of them. She's hitting her with everything. Reneau just had no answer to the clinch, and you can just hear Dominic Cruz on the broadcast getting a bit annoyed, because he's just like, all she's got to do is this.
Yeah.
But it's not that easy when someone like Pennington, who's so good, and she's firing off knees and hitting you, and she was impressive, and that's what you want to see after home and that disappointing fight. It's good to see her come back, and she, as we were saying last time, Reneau was 43 actually yesterday. It was her birthday, so if you're not beating 43-year-olds, it's you need to start thinking about what you're doing.
Absolutely. yeah, towards the later parts of the fight, I think in the final round, I thought she was going to put her away. I thought she'd hit it, like she damaged her and was going to finish her, but instead she decided to like shoot low, double, and clinch up. But I thought if she really tried, she could have put her away there. And yeah, good performance, much better than that home fight. That was not a great performance by either fighter. So it was good to come back from that and have this performance. So props to her. Before that, we had Bilal Muhammad versus Lyman Good. I called Muhammad to win this one, but I thought he would use his wrestling, which he didn't really use. It was a stand-up battle, and he got the decision at the end. Yeah. What do you think? I actually missed the first round of this one, so I'm forgetting what happened at the start. Maybe you took him down, so you can fill me in.
No, I think he was just on the feet. It was just good. Just seemed a bit tense in the first couple of rounds, and he just seemed to be like constantly have his hands ready but not popping them. And then in the third round, it was all him. So it was a good fight. It was, Muhammad probably just edged it. It was close enough. They were both, and I think Muhammad's on a pretty good win streak now as well. So he should be ranked or facing someone ranked and good. He's just got to go back and he's just got to look at like how fast because he's clearly got it. Like people like that who are so built and so jacked, you worry about the cardio down the stretch. But by round 3, he looked fresh. He looked good, so he needs to, if it's a cardio issue, maybe he was worried in the first couple of rounds about conserving energy and things like that. So just address that, because he's not a million miles off beating someone like Muhammad. He nearly had him. He just, probably didn't do enough.
Yeah, for sure, I agree. From what I saw, just more volume coming from Muhammad. So good win for him. If he's ranked now, then he's going to really have a bit of a step up in competition. Obviously, he's a welterweight. Ranked welterweights I can think of that are in the top 15, like 10 to 15. You got Jeff Neal, obviously. Santiago Ponzinibbio is probably around there somewhere. But these are like tough fights for him. These are not Lyman Good fighters. These are like the step up, And that's going to happen with everyone as they get into the rankings. But it'll be interesting to see how he does with a matchup like one of those guys,
I think that's who he called out. He called out Ponzinibbio. So
right.
Ponzinibbio's been out for so long, so he needs a fight. Just get him in there with anyone. And Muhammad's a good fight for him because although he was one of the top guys when he left, he's been gone for so long that he needs to just get a win under his belt, get back in, make people remember him. There's probably fans who don't even know who he is. So it's get back in there, get a win, and Muhammad gets a chance against a big guy.
Absolutely. I mean, he was talking to on Twitter to RDA, Ponzinibbio was. So, I mean, if he can get that fight, that's a perfect one for him to come back to. But if he can't get that, coming back against a guy like Muhammad who's just entered the rankings, but obviously isn't one of the top guys at the moment, it might be good for him. Like I don't want to say tune-up because it's not an easy fight to fight Bilal Muhammad. But, it might be a good one for him to come back to, you're right.
Yeah, it's a drop in level, but I think... that's what Muhammad was saying. He's saying, why are you chasing RDA? Because I think he's lost about 4 of his last 5. He's not really he's not done much at welterweight to justify his ranking anyway. So it's a good fight. I'd watch Ponzinibbio against anyone really, and I hope Muhammad gets his chance, because once you're putting these streaks together, you need to be fighting at your level. Like you need to be progressing, otherwise you're just going to stagnate, and then someone will catch you off guard. You won't really be up for the fight, and then you'll lose like that way. So he needs to be getting pushed, and I'm sure he will, because it was a good performance and it was on a big stage, and he showed some toughness. He showed everything you need to be a contender, so why not? Absolutely.
And so opening the main card, we had the veteran Jamila versus Roosevelt Roberts, and I called this one to the T. I said that Jamila would get this done. I said Roosevelt Roberts, this would be a little test for him. I said we'll get to see if he belongs with those, I guess, what's the word I'm looking for? Like the step above what he's been fighting, And I just don't think he's ready at the moment. And it showed because, or it showed Jim Miller's still a beast. He's come out there and just used wrestling, took him down, found the armbar submission in the first round.
Yeah, it's just huge steps again. It's the same thing with Caceres and Hooper. It was just a step too far, and it was a step too early, and it was just as soon as that it hit the mat and Miller's in that position, it was game over really. And he just didn't defend properly. He made mistakes like newcomers do. He tried to pull his arm out and he ended up after the tap. So but then it's one of them, guys like Miller. He's what is it, 35 fights in the UFC now. He's there for a reason. He's obviously a beast, and even on his worst day, he might be able to take out, a lot of, newcomers and things like that. So it's good to have guys like that around because he's a good test for up and comers. No, like if you beat him, you're real. You're on to the next level. And if you don't, you go back and you got to work on stuff. And Roosevelt Roberts, he'll be disappointed. But there's a big jump between Weaver and Miller, and hopefully he gets one in the middle now. I can get back to winning ways.
Yeah, for sure. And so going on to the prelims, do you want to go through them all, or you want to just pick out fights?
We'll start from the bottom because obviously that was one of the talking points. The guy Max Roshkoff or whatever he's called, he pulled out in the corner, which is it's unfortunate situation. And what do you think about that first?
So when I watched it and the doctor stopped it, well he stopped it in between rounds, I was sitting there thinking to myself, this is your UFC debut. You haven't taken a bunch of damage. I was like, it was like he mentally gave up. He mentally decided, I can't win this fight. I'm done. And when I was watching it, I was like, why would you do that in your debut? And after the fact, after hearing his corner audio as well, I understand why he decided to do that. What's the point of going out there and taking more damage if you can't win the fight? If you think you can't win the fight, if you're mental, the most important thing for him, like for a lot of fighters, I assume, is having the mentality to go out there and win. And if you don't have that, what's the point of going out there? You're just going to go out there and take more damage. And I get that, but I think he was 5-0, right? I think he needed a few more fights outside the UFC that would test him, so then he would know if he was ready for the spotlight like this, Because obviously you don't want to have that happen. You don't want to get in the UFC and then get halfway through your fight and realize I'm not cut out for this. Like I'm not ready to go out there and fight this guy. So it's sad what happened. Just so there's no confusion, the corner should have 100% listened to him. When he told his corner to stop, they should have called it. That should have been it. If your fighter says they're done, they're done. So I'm not like condoning his corner sending him back out. I'm just saying that I think he needed a few more fights outside the UFC so he could really test himself and find out if he's cut out to be in the spotlight. What do you think?
Yeah, I do have some sympathy with the corner just because they might know the fighter. He might do that all the time in practice. He might just be a guy who's, always like saying he wants to give up, and then you just need to push. So, but he did say it about 10 times that he wants to give up, and I think he was a late notice call up, so he had about a week to prepare, and it was just one of them nights where he didn't have it. Maybe he didn't feel, physically capable. So, I would never bash someone like that because he's gotten in there and he's a young fighter and things like that. But it did come a bit early, but what's he meant to do? Not take his chance? And people pass up. Some people don't pass up on the UFC first time it comes around, but I know a lot of fighters who do, and they'll pass up a few times because they don't want that to happen when they get there. They don't want it. They want to be ready for sort of guy like Austin Hubbard and So it was a tough one for him. And like, will he get another go in the UFC? He probably shouldn't do because he's not ready. And just go away and win a few fights and come back. It's just a shame. It's the whole corner thing with me because I do get they are meant to push him on and try and make him fight more than like the cornerman's come out and defend himself. He said he'd 100% do that again. And I get where he's coming from because it's his job to bring the best out the fighter, and that guy might be someone who's just sometimes has a weak moment mentally, and he's got to push him through it. So it's just annoying that it's all caught on camera and these things, and then people are allowed to critique it. That's the one thing with no crowd. The corners are under such a spotlight right now. There's so much criticism coming at corners, and it's unusual. It's one of the weird side effects from everything that's happening right now. For
sure, and I think so. It might be a good thing, because obviously, if we didn't hear this happen, they sent him back out. He told the ref himself he didn't want to fight. So good props to the cornerman or the commission, whoever stopped it, whichever individual in the ring called the fight. Props to them. It's not, if your fighter doesn't want to fight, they don't want to fight. I don't understand sending him out. He said 8 times or 9 times, I'm done. And Ariel Helwani had a good point afterwards. He said that should the UFC not give him another fight, which I don't think that he's ready to have another fight. I think he should go back out of the regional circuit personally. But if they don't give him another fight, it kind of sets the precedent that as a debuting fighter, you shouldn't call for the fight to be stopped in your corner. That's what he said. Like it'll set a precedent for other fighters to not want their to speak up and say, I don't want to fight anymore in the corner, which isn't a good thing, because none of his corner, no one else knows how the fighter is feeling, The fighter knows how they are feeling when they're in there. And if they feel like they can't win and they're just going to go out there and take, like, unanswered damage, what's the point, But it's an interesting situation. There's a lot to it. Going to the actual fight, good performance by Austin Hubbard. He managed to stuff all the takedowns. Well, I don't know if he stuffed them all, but he got up every time he was taken down. He beat him up on the feet, obviously, in that second round. The first round was pretty close. I thought the first round was going to go to Max Rokshanov, whatever his name is. I thought he won the first round, and I thought for sure Hubbard had the second round. So going into third, I thought it was going to be a tiebreaker. But apparently not. Apparently some judges had it at 10-8 in the second round.
Well, I think that's why this corner was so adamant about him going out, because he was in the fight. He weren't getting beat up. It weren't Anthony Smith against Glover Teixeira. It weren't Tony Ferguson against Justin Gaethje. He was in the fight. He just didn't have the gas tank. It was more a thing of being tired than being hurt. So I think that's why the corner were pushing him on. And in terms of him not getting another fight, it's not the best precedent, but if you're quitting and it's against Austin Hubbard and you're not hurt and there's nothing wrong with you, so I would say go and have another few regional fights, and that's not a bad thing. That's just, I don't think anyone watching that, including Ilhan Wani, thinks that guy is ready for UFC. So why, you could potentially get another loss, and that could just be damaging mentally and physically. So I don't think it's a bad precedent to set. I don't think anyone likes anyone quitting in corner duty, but it's a good option to have, and I think more fighters should take that. But the corner, their mistake it's not selling them to fight when he said it 5 times. It's when he said it about 8 or 9 times, and they're still like, get up and fight. At that point, you've got to kind of understand who your fighter is and understand that he doesn't want to fight. So it's all very interesting. I think he should go away, work on his game, come back. No harm in that. It's not UFC. It's not UFC's thing to keep people around and guarantee them fights if they don't impress. It's their. Do they want that to happen again? Do they want him to be in another fight and do that again, and then have this whole hoopla about shouldn't he, and things like that? So there's no shame in him going away and coming back.
Absolutely. So we'll move on. I actually want to touch on the fight after that one, which was Lauren Murphy defeating Roxanne Modafferi. Obviously, going into this fight, I was real hyped on Modafferi coming off that win over Macy Barber. So I thought she was going to take this one out. I thought that was going to be light work for her even. But no, Lauren Murphy looked fantastic. She came out there and she proved that she's clearly the better fighter on the night. And yeah, got it done. What did you think?
This is the thing, like the women's flyweight division. Obviously, Valentina, she's head and shoulders above them all, but it's still an exciting division just because there's so many contenders and they're all on such an even level. Like, they just keep beating each other and exchanging wins and losses, and it's really interesting to watch it. So I think like Lauren Murphy's on a 3-fight win streak now, so she's the next person, and every week there seems to be another girl flyweight popping up and who seems to be on a good run. So it's a really interesting division, and obviously they've all got a lot of work to do to get to Valentina's level, but nonetheless I'm enjoying watching them go at it. And Modafferi, she's one of them. She's a veteran. She'll come back and she'll get another big win and she'll be back in the mix again.
Absolutely, I agree. And the fight after that, another debuting fighter, this time a happy story though, Justin James going in there and just smashing through Frank Camacho in 41 seconds. And he hit him with that left hook, I believe it was, and just stumbled him, put him down, and then he got up and he got hit again. His legs were wobbly. He was up against the cage. He was getting hit over and over again. Every time he was getting hit, you could just see these legs were going out. And it was good stoppage by Herb Dean, because I think it was Herb Dean. Good stoppage. Like, having him take more damage would not have been a good idea. And just dominant performance from James. Like, and he got the bonus for it. Deserved the bonus. It was incredible. Like, to come in there on short notice and do that, props to him.
Yeah, and that's obviously what Max was thinking he might be able to do. This is the two sides of it. If you take a late notice fight, you could end up, in a sticky situation. You take a late notice fight, you can end up cracking it like him, because he's beat a big guy in Frank Camacho, and he's got a huge knockout, a load of money. So it's risk reward type thing, and so you could end up being Max, you could end up being Justin. It depends if you want to take the risk. Camacho is just a bad week all round, where he missed the weight. he got clipped early and he weren't defending at all. Like it reminded me of Cody against TJ when he's just hitting him with the same punch over and over again, and he just kept hitting him and his head bopping everywhere. Brilliant from Justin James, and Frank Camacho, just a bad night for him.
For sure. The last fight on the prelims I wanted to touch on, we can touch on the rest, but just this is the one I wanted to speak about, was the Tisha Torres versus Brianna Van Buren. And Torres looked fantastic. This is the best I've ever seen her in her whole career. She came out there and just did work, and I didn't expect this from her. Obviously, I haven't really followed her career closely, but I've seen fights previously, and I've never seen her come out as good as she did in this one. So I will be watching after this.
Yeah, that's definitely the best I've seen, and I've seen her come all the way through the Ultimate Fight, and she's got some big wins, and but never like this, like just relentless with the striking, and she was just on one. And once I seen her perform like that, I thought Raquel with Pennington would also perform well, just because they train together, they live together, all that stuff. It makes for this type of performance, and she was just relentless. She was just. The shots were like coming 3 or 4 at the time. She's in midair still throwing punches and kicks at the same time. So, and props to Van Buren just for surviving, because it was relentless and it was brutal, and it was prime TJ Torres, and that's coming off 4 losses. So it's got to be hard, to put on that type of performance at that type of level. And she was no pushover. She was Invicta champion on a big win streak and things like that. So amazing from TJ Torres. Definitely the best I've ever seen her. She looked amazing.
Absolutely. Is there any other fights you want to touch on, or we'll go on to news?
Just want to shout out Julian Robinson, because she was really impressive, and she's always she's probably the most entertaining women's fighter, going, which is one of them anyway, because she's never been to a decision, and that she's at the lower weight, she's in the women's weight classes, and she's always stopping people, or she's always putting on fun fights. So and that submission was beautiful, especially Courtney Casey. She's coming off a big win, so shout out to her. And I think she's got the most finishes or the most submissions in women's UFC history. So, and she's only 25, so she's definitely one to watch out for in terms of the title, and she's flyweight as well, so she's another contender. And it's flyweight is lit right now. Can't wait to keep watching these girls.
Yeah, I agree. Flyweight's probably one of the most exciting women's divisions in the sport. Definitely, maybe one of the most exciting divisions in the sport. And that fight was just a dominant performance. I didn't think she was going to get that late submission, but she did. So it's really impressive, because in Courtney Casey's defense, she did really well. Like, she defended quite well she got dominated for 2.5 rounds, and she held her own until at the end there she snuck in that choke, which was awesome. I didn't see the choke coming, and she got it. So impressive performance. Anything else, or is gonna call it?
No, that's it. Obviously, it was the middleweights, and they were just it was a good fight, but it's not really a fight where I take too much from. They're both guys coming off big losing streaks, and one had to win, and it was a good fight and a good win. But let's see them in the next one, and then we'll talk about them a bit more.
Absolutely. And that was similar to the Bobby Green Clay Guida fight. I didn't really see a lot there that was mind-blowing to speak about. So we'll go on to news. And the big news that I saw just before this, so I don't know how recent it is. I'm assuming it's reasonably recent. John Jones, Mike Tyson said some stuff about fighters' pay in MMA, and how to make $1 million, Conor had to go and fight Floyd, and to make $100 million. To make $100 million, Jones would have to fight him. Now, I don't think it'll happen, but I want to get your opinion on this. What do you think? Will it happen? And if it did, how does it go down?
I don't think he's serious. I think he's just using an example. That's how John Jones is going to get his money. He'd have to fight someone like Tyson. He would get that amount of money to fight Tyson, but I don't know. I was actually thinking this as John Jones. He's not the best pure boxer ever, is he? And
no.
Tyson could probably still knock him out. So I wouldn't take that for all the money on offer anyway, because either way, it's a lose-lose for John Jones, because even if he beats Mike Tyson, he's beat some old guy, and if he gets knocked out, he's being knocked out by some old guy. So it's not really on the table. I think it was more of just an example of that's how John Jones is going to get big money. And he's right, the money is in boxing, the big money. But UFC MMA, it's new. It's the money will get there, and the fighters just need to keep pushing for it. And John Jones, I'm sure he's doing all right money wise. I wouldn't worry about him, going broke. So he'll be back and he'll get a lot of money. He'll probably not get as much as he wants, but probably more than the UFC wants to give him. So I wouldn't worry too much about anyone.
Absolutely. And so I only have one other piece of news, but I'll pass it over to you to see if you have anything after. Have you seen Mike Perry's a bum.com, and what did you think?
Oh, it's just relentless. And it's just someone like Mike Perry's just the perfect guy for this type of thing, just because he won't take it as a joke. He just takes it so seriously, and he's just clearly getting offended. And Darren Till was saying originally it was like, oh, let's just have like a bit of beef and it'll be fun. But then obviously Darren Till's took it a step far in terms of saying stuff about his girlfriend, and it's just gone a bit rogue. But I think Darren Till's just keeping himself entertained in lockdown. He's done a good job of it, because he's been making it better for us, because I follow him on all the social media, and he's hilarious. So yeah, Mike Perry, poor Mike Perry, because he's just getting absolutely rinsed. He's getting rinsed right now.
For sure. I think since Askren retired, Darren Till's probably the best shit talker in MMA right now, right? Who else competes?
Perry just doesn't Perry doesn't help himself, because he just gives you all this ammunition.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, yeah, my girlfriend's going to train me. So obviously you're going to start skitting his girlfriend if she's holding pads for him and things like that. So he just doesn't help himself at all. But did you see he was all busted up? He had all cuts on his knuckles. And
he's fighting next week.
So he's just one of them guys, and you never know with Mike Perry. So that's why it's quite fun to see him, getting ripped a bit. Yeah,
100%. Did you have any news that you wanted to touch on?
No, I've just been seeing that Dana White's like kind of saying Conor McGregor is retired now, so it's always interesting. It just always seems like a negotiation tactic for me. Like, he's retired, we're not speaking, and then the UFC like, oh, we're not budging, so yeah, he's retired. And eventually he'll come back around, but just this whole in the middle bit where we've got to be like, pretend he's retired for a bit.
Yeah, I think crowds will bring Conor out of retirement. Once they can get crowds in an arena, Conor will come out and he'll fight. But yeah, another thing I was thinking was, like, all this Masvidal money stuff we spoke on last time. Like, where's this going? Because that's the only fight I can think of is Conor versus Masvidal, like money fight. Because if Masvidal sits and he obviously doesn't have this title shot. If he just sits and someone else gets another title shot, his like contention he's going to fade. He needs to have a fight, you know what I mean? He needs to fight, otherwise he's going to lose his ranking. He won't be able to get a title shot. What do you think he does? Because they're not going to give him the money that he wants to fight Covington. They're not going to give him the money he wants to fight Leon Edwards. They're not going to give him the money he wants to fight Usman. What does he do? Fight a Diaz? What do you think?
It depends how... I think he's been speaking about it for a while. He's obviously motivated by money right now. And... for him, the worst options to sit out or not make any money. So I don't think he's in the position of someone like John Jones or Conor McGregor where they can say, "Oh, we're done," because he's not been at the top for that long. He's had Diaz. He probably got a lot of money for that fight, but beyond that, he hasn't had any big money fights. So he needs and he's in his 30s. He'll be wanting to make as much money as he can and cash out. And I'm sure there will be offers on the table for for good fights. But I don't think it's. I just don't think the Usman fight is the one he wants. For if he'd be willing to take a risk for some money, but why fight Usman if the money's not there? He can wait, and there's other fights that'll pop up, and he'll fight. I don't see him doing a Diaz and sitting out for 3 years. I think he wants to make money. He wants to fight. It's just the right fight for the right money, and he's not bothered by that belt. It might be weird. We spoke to Leon Edwards, and he was saying it's so weird that he doesn't want this title shot. I'll do anything to get that title shot. But if you're not interested in the belt and you just want money, that's fair enough. He can just have a payday, and there's lots of fights for him. So I don't worry too much about Masvidal sitting out for too long. I just don't think McGregor is the fight, because I think McGregor needs an audience to generate the money that he needs to be paid. So that's probably when we're going to see him back on Masvidal, hopefully before all this lockdown stuff is finished.
For sure. And I'll just touch on, in case you were unaware, they offered him the same amount of money he got for fighting Diaz to fight Usman, and he said no.
Oh, is it? He was saying half?
No. I think Dana White came out, or someone came out and said that they offered him the exact same money he got to. I think maybe it's Ali Abdelaziz who said it. I can't remember.
Oh.
Someone said that he got offered the same money that he got offered to fight Diaz to fight Usman, and he didn't take it. He wanted more, which I understand because fighting Usman is a completely different fight than fighting Diaz, right? A lot more risk there for starters, and also stylistically, it's a nightmare of a matchup in comparison.
No, but he's got to understand that that's not a. He must understand that that's not a bigger fight. He does get that, and he was saying he got offered half. So it depends. It's coming from Ali and Ali's team husband, so I wouldn't take that too seriously. But I think if the money was the same as Diaz, it was big money. He probably would have took that. But and that would have been generous, I think, because Diaz it was one of the biggest fights of last year. So I would be surprised if they offered him now. Yeah, that's a fair to fair. That's strange. But I don't think he's not going to do a Diaz. He's not. Hopefully, anyway, he's not going to hold out. He's in his prime. He's he needs to fight and he wants money. Like every time I hear him interviewed, he clearly is motivated by money. And if there's a few more on top, he'll be ready to go.
Absolutely, and I think we'll call it there. Thanks for watching, guys. Remember to like and subscribe, and we will speak to you later in the week to preview the next card, which is UFC Fight Night. Poirier versus Hooker, that's the one. And I'll speak to you then. Thanks for watching.
See you later, guys.